Welcome to PushMowerRepair.com. Today we're going to show you some of the basic steps you can go through to troubleshoot some problems on your Victa lawnmower. We've picked out a pretty rough lawnmower here. The first thing we're going to check for is spark. You can see here that the spark plug cable's obviously been modified, so we're going to fix that. But before we fix that, we'll check if it's sparking. And to do that, we're going to remove the spark plug. So I've tested the spark plug, and it does work, even with this modified lead. And so I will fix this lead later, but to continue troubleshooting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this tube. I'm going to get some petrol from the fuel tank. And put it into the spark plug hole. And then I'm going to put the spark plug in. Okay, so I've tightly done up the spark plug now with the petrol in there. The reason of putting the petrol in there is we're going to test to see if it'll start. And if the mower starts but doesn't continue to run, it means that there's something wrong with the carburetor. Its petrol is not getting from the tank to the engine. But if it starts and continues to run, then it means the carburetor's working alright. We don't have to look at it as thoroughly. So what we did by putting the fuel in was to check if it would run or not. You may have noticed it did try and fire and start for about 1 or 2 seconds, and that means that the fuel in here ignited via the spark, which means this works. However, the carburetor didn't supply any extra fuel, and so the engine couldn't continue to run. And so the next thing we have to look at is the carburetor. There'll be a link to our carburetor video for you to be able to service and repair the carburetor in the next step. So I've quickly removed the carburetor and the faceplate of the carburetor, which is shown in our other video. If you can see all this green kind of gungy petrol, that's actually off two-stroke petrol or evaporated two-stroke petrol just leaving the oil. And this generally gunks up the carburetors and stops them from working. Here is the main jet. If you can see, the hole is completely blocked. So that's one reason why no fuel is coming through, and we're going to have to clean that out if we want any chance of success. Also, if you'll notice when I put the float on and push it up, as if petrol's holding it up, it barely contacts the needle but contacts this main part of the carburetor, and that indicates to me that the needle is worn out and will need to be replaced. Otherwise it's likely that the primer bulb will leak when we put it back on. You may get away with it, but I would recommend replacing when it's that close. Okay, I've given it a quick clean. I've replaced the needle so the float sits better, and I've cleaned out the main jet. I'm going to put that back together and into the mower. And you can see us doing this in more detail in some of our other videos. Okay, when I popped off the top cover, it was full of this gunky green oil, and you can already tell that the diaphragm's pretty wrecked here. And so we're going to be taking this apart and refurbishing this as well. This can be seen in our G4 carburetor video in more detail than this. You can see it's very dirty, so we're going to clean it all out, and that should make it run a lot better. Now I've refurbished the carburetor inside and outside. All the parts have been cleaned or replaced, and it's good to go. Got the fuel on. We're going to give it a test. Prime it a couple times. Give it a pull. So, as you heard, the lawnmower did start up and run quite well. We did run into one problem that is quite common, and that's that the on-off wires didn't turn the mower off, it just stayed running. This problem can happen from time to time. It means you need to replace the plug and cover as shown in our G4 carburetor videos, or you can install an on-off switch, which tends to be more reliable in my own opinion. This mower has been modified by someone and doesn't work very well, so we're going to have to replace this part to get it completely running. But that's all for our tutorial today. Thanks for watching.